Hello, welcome back everyone. Hope that you guys are having a great one out there. Thank you so much for clicking on the video and showing up and stopping by today. What are we doing? We're listening to a little Saint Germain. We're going to listen to this track, Land of... little ellipses there. This is going to be taken from the third studio album, Tourist, which was released in 2000. We were listening to this because it was suggested and sponsored by Joe. Joe, thank you so much for the recommendation, and thank you so much for the support as well. I really appreciate it. Now, Joe had given me a choice. I love a good pick three. He gave me a pick three. He gave me 3 different tracks, 3 different artists, and said, choose one. And so I chose the one that, there were 2 that I was unfamiliar with, and so I chose this one, as I've never heard of Saint Germain. I've heard of Saint Germain, the historical figure, but I've never heard of him as a musical artist. So that's what we're going to, if it is a him, if not a group, kind of like a Jethro Tull situation. So that's what we're going to do today, because I've never heard of him. So I figured this would be a nice exploration, something new, something blue, etc., etc. So, and just before walking in here to record, I sat down to start recording, and I was about to close the door, and I heard out there, oh. And I don't mean my baby, I mean my cat. So I had to go clean up a little mess out there. All right, let's go ahead and dive on in. We'll discuss the track after Land of... expect that. I thought it was just going to be kind of standard classic jazz. That sounds like something, that part. Like I've heard that somewhere. That's Sunday. That's catchy too. blending of old and new. Space. Nice little shift here with the dub bass kind of sneaking in. The percussion in the back as well. It really is a nice blend between kind of the present with turntablism and beats and then the classic jazz, especially piano. That's hot. Love that. Okay, before there was like lo-fi hip hop and lo-fi jazz, and before that was like really becoming a thing, this is the kind of jazz mixed with like down-tempo music that was really, really like abundant in the early 2000s, late 90s especially, and kind of slowly kind of crept away in the 2010s and so forth, but it's still out there. But this is what was there beforehand. And this is kind of nostalgic because I've listened to music like this quite a bit while never really holding on to it. It was just something kind of like nice in the background that I listened to. Like, I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with like Mark Farina, and especially like his Mushroom Jazz series, I think it was. But like, that's kind of like the kind of sound that was like here, right? Like mixing like beats of like jazz, you know, inspiration and something classic. And this kind of reminds me a little bit of like Thievery Corporation a little bit. But this was cool because I really like how they really brought together that kind of old school jazz style and sound, especially piano bass, and then mixed that with the beats, the production, the turntablism, I would assume that's handling or being handled here. And of course, you have the sax and trumpet and such. So, like, for example, keyboards as played by Alexandre Destray. Hopefully I pronounced his name correctly. And I love that classic piano sound that's brought in here. Like I said, from the very beginning, it kind of had a bluesy touch to it as well. But I thought that it was going to play something a little bit more straightforward in the jazz realm, right? Like, this is gospel, right? And like, okay, I'm hearing the shuffle, I'm hearing the jazz come in, but then before you know it, all right, now I see where we're sweeping it. now I see where we're dilly-dallying, and we are getting dilly while he's dallying. And I just think that that's really cool. Like, it's a cool, like, bringing together styles that make sense. I mean, when you think about, you know, down-tempo music, hip-hop, and things like that, huge inspiration is from jazz. And so it just makes sense to kind of bring them back together. And to meld them together. And I really enjoyed the percussion that was happening behind it. The percussion is being handled by Edmundo Carneiro, and you also have some drum by Idrissa Diop as well. Love how much of a big standout that was, especially in the halfway point, going forward after that. And that little break where the bass changed into kind of a more dub style bass was also really interesting, kind of moving away from, you know, something a little bit more strictly jazz and contemporary of that nature, or conventional rather, and switching into... It's coming up here. There you go. That is such a dub style bass. So it's really cool how even that begins to make a little bit of a treadway inside here. But like the rest of it sounds like so classical jazz, like 70s and such. And that little motif, the ba 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 ba, like that little line, it sounded so familiar. Like, I can't say, because I mean, as far as I can tell, everything here is original. But it just sounds like a melodic line from a classic piece of jazz that I can't put my foot on. I do see in other tracks that there's samples from Dave Brubeck, Miles Davis. Like, I see there's samples in other tracks, but nothing necessarily in this one, which makes me think, and I'm assuming it's all original. So maybe it's just a reference to something. But trumpet by Pascal Ossi, sax by Claudio de Crouar, and Edouard Labor. But that was really, really nice. That was just a cool, like, unexpected assortment style. I was like, once it started, okay, I know where we're going. I get it now. But I just didn't expect that from the intro, and then as it kind of went on. This, to me, is a cool Sunday wake-up track. It still has a little energy, so you still get through the day. It's still a weekend, so it still feels good. There's nothing you need to rush and bumble around to do, but it is the end of the weekend. And I think that this kind of captures that energy. This, to me, just has Sunday morning, like, wake up, celebrate. It's the last part of your weekend, and get as much out of it as you can, and then that's it. Now, something I'm kind of curious about, and this could just be a mistake on the internet, is that I did have lyrics here. There were lyrics here, and this was obviously instrumental. So did I do something wrong? Because I did choose the album, Tourist Remastered. I see it's remastered. That's fine. Maybe that's... Here's a Tourist 20th Anniversary Travel Edition. Maybe this one has lyrics to it. These are remixes of the songs. But I don't see this particular track actually on here. So I'm not sure where the lyrics come from. Like I said, maybe it's just a mistake. Maybe it's just a mistake from... I'm looking as I'm talking. Maybe it's just a mistake from Genius. But I thought there were going to be lyrics, so... But obviously there weren't. Let me know what you guys thought of it in the comments down below. Joe, thank you so much for the recommendation. Thank you so much for the support as well. I really appreciate that. Thank you for the pick 3 as well. Not always, but more than likely, I'm always going to pick one that I've never heard of. May not be the most popular, may not be. I just want to pick the one I haven't heard, but I appreciate that. Thank you guys so much for being here. Please come on back by tomorrow, and I will see you all then. Bye.